With the new Premier League season just being a matter of days away, let's have a look at the bookmakers' predictions for the Premier League 23-24 season again. They have updated some of their predictions. Some predictions have stayed the same, some have changed. You could put that down to transfers coming in, transfers going out, and maybe some of the pre-season results as well. So let's have a little look at the bookmakers' predictions once again. Before we get into this video today, guys, please do make sure to show some support on this one. Let's go for 400 likes. If you like your Premier League content, do make sure to drop a like, and if you haven't already subscribed, do make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're very close to 35,000 subscribers, so for more Premier League content, do hit that subscribe button, and let's see what the bookmakers' predictions look like. So then, just like when we visited this video at the start of June, we're doing it on a tier list. We're doing it on a tier list again today. We'll go through and discuss each team. Let's start at the top and work our way down. There isn't actually a lot of movement at the top. So the bookmakers still fancy Manchester City to win the league, so there they are in first place. Not a massive amount of business at Manchester City. I feel like the other teams in the top 4 and top 6 have recruited quite well, whereas Manchester City in comparison have been maybe a bit quieter. They've brought Gvardiol through the door, Kovacic as well, but I think we just think they're going to be strong again. They've got Guardiola, they've got a treble winning team from last season, Haaland, De Bruyne, and I've got no qualms with the bookmakers keeping Manchester City in first place. It makes sense. They haven't changed much at the top, to be honest, because they've also got Arsenal in second place. Arsenal's business has been steady, and as I say, when we touched on this video 2 months ago at the start of June, Arsenal were the bookmakers' second favourites to win the league. They're still the bookmakers' second favourites come the start of August. Arsenal's business has been quite good. We touched on their transfers in a transfer video a couple of days ago. It does appear that Gabriel Jesus will be missing the first few games of the season though, but once again, I can't disagree with Arsenal being in second place. There's a few people that think Arsenal will drop down the table this season. I don't see it particularly. I mean, at worst, I think they'll still be somewhere in that top 4, maybe drop 1 or 2 places. But to be honest, the bookmakers' predictions I agree with so far. Man City top, Arsenal second. On to third place, and staying in third place, Liverpool. Once again, the bookmakers haven't changed their minds on Liverpool. Liverpool were third in the bookmakers' predictions at the start of June and are still in third place. Come the start of August, we've seen Szoboszlai coming in, McAllister still being linked with a couple of players as well. I think defensively, maybe Liverpool could still do with some improvements, but I agree with the bookies actually. I think this was my top 3 when I did my predictions a couple of days ago. Man City first, Arsenal second, Liverpool third. And once again, the bookmakers haven't changed their mind on the 4th place team, Manchester United. They had Man United 4th when they did their sort of early predictions at the start of June, and they're still in 4th place come the start of August. Manchester United's business has been good. I know they finished 3rd last season and this would be a 1-place drop, but I think they're putting that down to the fact that they think Liverpool will get back on track. Regardless of that, most people's estimations for Manchester United this season is for them to be somewhere in the top 4, at worst 4th. Some people say they could be 2nd. Probably a few optimistic Man United fans reckon they could win the league this year. Onana's a good addition. He can play it out from the back with his feet, whereas De Gea's gone out the door, and obviously he's a club legend. It'd be great, as Leon said, if they could do like some sort of testimonial or something just to show their respects to him, because of the way it was done, it wasn't great. But yeah, Mason Mount as well. Some decent players coming in there for Manchester United, and yeah, 4th place from the bookies. I agree with that. Let's move on to 5th to 9th. In 5th place, the bookmakers have Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have had a really crazy transfer window with so many outgoings and quite a few incomings as well. But I like Pochettino. I do like the players they brought in, and the bookmakers pretty much agreeing with that as well. They put Chelsea in 5th place, and they did actually have Chelsea in 5th place come the start of June. So the bookmakers, despite all this change at Chelsea this summer transfer window, haven't changed their minds on Chelsea. They reckon they'll be sniffing around the top 4, and this would be a 7-place improvement on that 12th place finish last season. In 6th place, and once again holding in 6th place, it's Newcastle United. You'll see when we work our way through the video, it's more in the bottom half that the bookmakers have made wholesale changes to their predictions. Newcastle were predicted 6th by the bookies come the start of June, and 2 months later at the start of August, the bookmakers still think Newcastle United will finish in 6th place. Newcastle United continue to make some good additions. We spoke about Harvey Barnes being one of the latest players to join. Sam Maximan obviously going out the door though, but obviously quite a bit of money behind them now, good resources, a good manager in Eddie Howe, and Newcastle United's trajectory is looking upwards. I just wonder if the bookmakers have put them just outside the top 4 this time around because they're going to be in the Champions League, whereas Chelsea and Tottenham won't have that to contend with, and maybe that'll give them a slight advantage. But do feel free to share your thoughts on that one, Newcastle United fans. The bookies think you'll finish 6th. Let's move on to 7th place, which is Tottenham Hotspur, which would be a 1-place improvement on the 8th place finish last year. Once again, I think not just the bookmakers, but lots of people that I've seen doing their predictions seem to think Chelsea and Tottenham will get slightly back on track this season, or at least climb the table in some way, shape or form. I know this would only be a one-place improvement for Tottenham, but like I say, you can put that down to the fact that they've brought in James Maddison, Kulusevski. They've still got Harry Kane at the moment, but who knows? And obviously Tottenham, just like Chelsea, don't have European football to contend with, so I suppose they could put all their eggs in the Premier League basket. Right, next up, this is where the bookmakers have made a couple of changes. Aston Villa were originally 9th at the start of June in their predictions. They've bumped them up to 8th place. I can understand this. Aston Villa's business has been absolutely fantastic. Yes, as we say with the European aspect, they will be playing in Europe, so they're fighting on a few fronts this season. But some of the players they're bringing in, Diaby, Pau Torres, and Unai Emery, you know, he's got a very good track record in Europe. I've said Aston Villa will probably finish around 7th or 8th this season, and I do actually fancy them to win the Europa Conference League. I think most bookmakers as well have Aston Villa as favourites to win that competition, and they've got Aston Villa to finish 8th in the Premier League this season. Do share your thoughts on that one, Aston Villa fans. So with Aston Villa moving up 1 place, the bookmakers have put Brighton and Hove Albion down 1 place. This is a difficult one because although Aston Villa's business has been brilliant and, you know, the bookmakers have wanted to bump them up as a result, that's what I can put that down to. Brighton and Hove Albion's business has been good. It is always solid. I mean, João Pedro, could he do well for them next season? James Milner, De Zerbi going into his first full season as Brighton manager as well. I think there's a lot of positives at Brighton, and this is the sticking point for a lot of people's predictions. You've got the top 9 here, which most people agree will be the top 9, but people are struggling with the order to arrange them, and the bookmakers have put Brighton at the bottom of this mini league, if that makes sense, in 9th place. Once again, being in Europe, could that distract them a little bit from the Premier League? We shall see. Time will tell. Brighton fans, do share your thoughts. Right, moving into the mid-table segment, and just about in the top half in 10th place, it's West Ham United who have held in the bookmakers' predictions here. At the start of June, the bookies had West Ham to finish in 10th place. Obviously, last season in the Premier League, they finished a bit further down, but they did win the Europa Conference League. They've got them to still finish 10th. Since we did that video 2 months ago, West Ham United have lost Declan Rice and really not brought anyone in. Obviously, the transfer window is still going to be open for quite a bit longer, and West Ham United, I will imagine, would start bringing some more players in and start splashing that Declan Rice money around. But at this moment in time, I don't think there's many reasons to say West Ham United can climb higher than 10th. The bookmakers have got them to hold. A little bit surprised they haven't got them to drop 1 or 2 places, but there you go. They've got them in 10th place. What I will say is I saw West Ham United in pre-season against Tottenham, and although it's pre-season, they did look good. Jared Bowen certainly impressed me in that game, and, you know, good result, 3-2. Let's move on to the next team in mid-table. It is Brentford. Brentford in 11th, once again, is a hold from the bookies. The bookmakers haven't moved Brentford up or down in their predictions for the season in the 2 months since we visited this video last. Brentford's business has been solid. I feel like with Brighton, they're a club that recruit very sensibly. Obviously, no Ivan Toney is a big factor here, and this would be, what, a 2-place drop from, I think it was a 9th place finish last season for Brentford. I personally have got Brentford a little bit higher than this. I've got them just inside the top half. Brentford fans, do feel free to share your thoughts on that one down below. Next up is Crystal Palace, another hold. The bookmakers had them to finish 12th at the start of June, and come the start of August, they've still got them in 12th. A little bit like West Ham, I must say. Crystal Palace's business hasn't been totally inspiring. Lerma is a decent addition. Zaha could be a big miss, but ultimately the bookmakers don't think there'll be a lot of movement here for Crystal Palace. I'm intrigued to get Palace fans' thoughts down in the comments. Is just finishing 11th and 12th something you're happy with? Because, you know, you're finishing top of the bottom half of the Premier League. You know, you're essentially the 11th, 10th best team in England when you're doing that. It's fantastic. But is there a little bit of a glass ceiling here for Crystal Palace? Because I would love to see them crack into that top 10 or even closer to that top 9, which seems a little bit sealed off. Feel free to share your thoughts down below, Crystal Palace fans. I suppose finishing 12th place, you're going to keep yourselves away from trouble. Right then, on to the next bracket of teams, and this is where the bookmakers have made quite a lot of wholesale changes. That top 12 hasn't been touched a lot. It's just Villa and Brighton that have swapped places. This is where things start to get quite interesting. So in 13th place, the bookmakers have gone for Fulham. Now this is a 2-place improvement from the bookmakers' predictions at the start of June. So in those 2 months, the bookmakers have thought, do you know what, Fulham are going to do a bit better than they originally thought. They did have Fulham in 15th place. They've bumped them up to 13th place. What I do find quite interesting about this is they obviously had Fulham to finish a bit lower originally in their predictions, but at the moment there is a bit of a dilemma at the moment with the Mitrovic saga and possibly Marco Silva going. I don't know how much truth there is in that as well. but they've bumped Fulham up. Now, I don't know if that's because they think the teams they originally put above them will now do worse. Fulham did finish just inside the top half last season. This would be a couple of places of a drop-off. I don't think it's a disaster if Fulham finish 13th, though. You know, once again, they'd be keeping themselves clear of trouble. But Fulham fans, do feel free to share your thoughts down below. The bookmakers have bumped you up a couple of places, and do feel free to share your thoughts on why that might be. Right, into 14th place. A 3-place improvement here from the bookmakers. Burnley. They've moved up from 17th to 14th. Now, as I say, when we did this video at the start of June, we spoke about that Burnley, Sheffield United and Luton were all in that bottom 4 in the bookmakers' predictions, and that's no surprise. The bookmakers always seem to write off the teams that have come up, but they see something in Burnley. We'll come on to Sheffield United and Luton in a minute, but Burnley's business has been good. I think out of the 3 newly promoted sides, most football fans do feel more confident that Burnley's going to do the best out of them. They did do so well in the Championship last year, and I feel confident that they'll stay up. I think actually I predicted them to finish 14th as well, so the bookmakers are matching me with my prediction here. Burnley fans, do share your thoughts. The bookmakers now think you're going to do better than they originally thought 2 months ago. Right, moving on to 15th place, it's a 2-place drop for Wolverhampton Wanderers. They were originally tipped to be 13th when we visited this video originally. They're now down to 15th, still ahead of that relegation zone by a couple of places, but a little bit closer to it. Now, I personally do think Wolves could be in a spot of bother this season. I think it's the outgoings that are worrying me. Quite a few faces that have been there for a long time going out the door. It's the lack of goals I'm worried about. I just think, you know, even last season with the players they did have, they didn't score many goals, so they need someone to step forwards and start scoring. And a lot of people are tipping them to be in trouble this season. The bookmakers do have them to just survive. I did watch them last night, actually, against Luton Town in a pre-season game. They drew 0-0. They could draw positives from it, even though they didn't win. I think going forwards they showed some good signs, but it's just that final bit, getting the ball in the back of the net. Fabio Silva looked alright. Hwang Hee-chan, he can still get goals, so it'll be interesting to see how Wolves get on. The bookmakers think they'll survive, but in 15th place. On to 16th, a 2-place drop for Everton. The bookies originally had Everton to finish 14th. In the 2 months since then, they've now dropped them down to 16. Now, in my opinion, Everton's business has kind of been in the middle. I don't think their business has been terrible this summer transfer window. I don't think it's been totally inspiring, but I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, bringing in Ashley Young, I know he's 38, but they brought in an experienced head into the dressing room there and a player that, you know, will absolutely graft. Dan Juma, they need him to get some goals because that was a problem for Everton last season as well, you know, getting the goals when it mattered. So they've got Everton to survive, like I have as well, and I think most people do have Everton to survive, but once again, a lot of people, and the bookies included, think Everton will do it by the skin of their teeth. So they've got them in 16th. On to the final team that the bookmakers tipped to stay up, and it's AFC Bournemouth with a 1-place improvement. At the start of June, when we looked at this video, AFC Bournemouth were in 18th place. The bookmakers had them going down with Sheffield United and Luton Town. They've now bumped them up to 17th place. They think Bournemouth will just survive this season. Some people think Bournemouth will go down. Some people think they'll stay up. Some people think they could even climb the table this year. We will see. Time will tell. I think quite a lot of Bournemouth fans are feeling optimistic, and why not? You know, they stayed up last year. It is a risk this summer transfer window, which we have addressed, you know, with the change in management and maybe a different philosophy, quite a few different faces coming in through the door. There is certainly that potential for Bournemouth to push on, but who knows, it could backfire. Could they get sucked into it? The bookies think they'll be down there, but just surviving. Bournemouth fans, what do you think? Would 17th be alright, or would you rather be a bit more comfortable this time round? So then on to the bottom 3, and the bookmakers have gone for Nottingham Forest now to go down. Now, Nottingham Forest, when we looked at this video at the start of June 2 months ago, the bookies had them to finish 16th, which is where they finished last year. They thought Forest would stay up again. They've now changed their minds in the 2 months since then. They've put them in the bottom 3. Now, last season, the bookmakers did have Forest in the bottom 3, and they stayed up. So Nottingham Forest fans, I wouldn't read into it too much. You can just prove the bookmakers wrong again. What can they put that down to, I wonder? Maybe slow transfer business. I think most Nottingham Forest fans are in agreement that the business so far this summer transfer window for Nottingham Forest has been slow. Slowly starting to get going, but as I keep saying, the goalkeeping department does need filling, and especially with the Premier League season kicking off in, you know, 7-8 days time. So Forest do need to get round to that and address that. The pre-season results, for what it's worth, haven't been great. I watched them against Leeds United. They lost 2-0. They did lose 5-0 to Rennes recently as well. Obviously, as you guys know, though, pre-season results don't mean everything, and you can have a bad pre-season and then a good season, and obviously the reverse as well. Nottingham Forest are tipped to go down now from the bookmakers. As I say, Forest fans, you know, you could just prove them wrong again. I wouldn't take it too personally. I've personally got Forest to stay up, but there is some reservations there from the bookmakers, so feel free to share your thoughts, Nottingham Forest fans. Sticking in 19th place, the bookmakers have Sheffield United. The bookies tipped Sheffield United to be second bottom at the start of June, and 2 months later at the start of August they've got them in 19th place again. I think Sheffield United's business has been okay, to be honest. Bundiaye going out the door is obviously a big loss for Sheffield United, but the players they're bringing in, they could surprise a few people. A lot of people probably not too familiar with some of the places they've brought in from overseas, but I think Sheffield United's business has been steady. I think they've got a fighting chance. I do think they'll be in the battle. I've tipped them to stay up. The bookies are tipping them to go down in 19th place. On to the final team. The bookmakers have Luton Town in 20th, and I'm not entirely surprised. I'm not saying that because I think Luton Town will finish bottom in my opinion, because I haven't gone for that this season, but because the bookmakers always go for the teams that have come up to go down, and Luton Town did come up through the playoffs, so the bookmakers are probably just looking at them and thinking they haven't got what it takes to stay up, they're going down. Luton Town's business has been interesting this summer transfer window. Quite a few people sharing different thoughts on it. Some people are saying it's sensible. Luton Town aren't spending outrageous amounts of players, but are bringing in some of the better Championship players that have quite a bit of quality about them and could do well in the Premier League. Some people saying that Luton Town's business hasn't been inspiring and it's not going to give them a chance. I'm leaning towards their business being positive so far. Tahith Chong looked good in the Wolves pre-season game we watched yesterday. Ryan Giles is a decent addition, which went through quite recently. Nakamba's come back, and they haven't chucked loads of money at it. So if Luton Town do go down, they won't go down with lots of financial problems. Like I say, they've got to fund things like the new stadium and the current stadium and things like that. But once again, Luton Town fans, I wouldn't take it personally that the bookmakers think you're going to finish bottom. You're just going to have to prove them wrong. So then guys, that wraps up today's video. Do feel free to share your thoughts down below. That is the bookmakers' predictions just before the start of the new Premier League season. If you've enjoyed this video, please do feel free to hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, do make sure to hit the subscribe button, as we're very close to 35,000 subscribers. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.